When I first started motorcycling and not knowing any better, I was quite happy using regular cotton t-shirts as base layers. Then I began experimenting with cyclist gear that I found in Decathlon, the world's largest sports retailer. They usually have some pretty good stuff and it's temptingly affordable, but a couple of years ago Mrs. RM gave me one of these ZeroFit Heatrub Ultimates for Christmas, and I haven't looked back since. It's just so comfortable and so warm. So I reached out to ZeroFit about a year ago, and they were kind enough to send me some more summer and winter base layers for review. 12 months on, and I can honestly say, as with the Roadskin jeans that I've also recommended to you, that I wear these base layers on just about every ride now. They're warmer, cooler, faster drying, less smelly, and genuinely more comfortable than not only regular t-shirts but also other premium base layers that I've tried. Now ZeroFit makes a range of products, shirts and leggings for hot and cold weather, but in this review I'll be focusing on 4 of their core products that I actually use: the Heatrub Ultimate and Heatrub Move in the winter, and the Coldskin that I'm wearing on this ride in 38-degree heat, and IceWeave for summer months. I've worn them all extensively as a motorcyclist and compared my experience with dozens of user reviews and forums across several languages, so let's get started. I'll start with my favourite overall, the Heatrub Ultimate. Now, it's designed for riding in near freezing conditions, which admittedly we don't see very often here in southern Portugal, but Mrs. RM and I do like to stay warm, and the Heatrub is our base layer of choice below about 12 to 14 degrees C. It uses a double loop fleece that traps warm air and even generates a bit of heat through friction as you move. Implausible perhaps, but it really does work, and the garment is incredibly warm, comparable to say a fleece mid-layer. So much so that you often only need a relatively thin jacket over the top. The fit is snug without being restrictive, with a deliberately loose neck to prevent overheating. The soft, plush interior is very comfortable against the skin, and the fabric stretches easily with body movement. I find it a real boon on chilly early morning group ride starts between, say, November and March, and it's surprisingly odor resistant, which is always a plus when you stop for lunch with your mates. This MCN tester praised the active heat generation back in March this year and gave the product 5 stars for both quality and value. He says that for him it was too hot in anything approaching double figure temperatures, but I believe he was also testing the leggings, which I must say I wouldn't fancy personally given how warm the fabric is. I like coolish legs and find that riding jeans on their own are more than enough for me. Anyway, here's a quick overview of the pros and cons. It's very warm, very comfortable, surprisingly odor resistant. It could be too hot above about 12-14 degrees C. The loose collar may feel a bit strange, and some users have reported minor pilling over time. For those chilly but not freezing days, the Heatrub Move is perhaps a more breathable alternative. It features a sweat-wicking polypropylene inner layer and hollow core polyester outer layer, keeping you warm while actively pulling moisture away from your skin. I'd say it's about half as thick as the Ultimate and dries faster if you do sweat. The fit is closer to a performance base layer and is ideal, I'd say, for 8 degrees to 16 degrees centigrade rides, especially for commuters or trail riders, for example, who might be more active on the bike. Like the Ultimate, it's comfortable, stretchy, and resists odors remarkably well, and after a full day's ride, it stays fresher than typical synthetics or merino wool. For many, it's the go-to top for autumn or spring riding, where full thermal wear is overkill, but when you still appreciate some insulation. So, pros and cons of the ZeroFit Heatrub Move. Well, it's ideal for coolish rides, 8 to 16 degrees C. It's breathable and fast drying, excellent wicking, but it's less warm than the Ultimate. The elastic can loosen a little bit with wear, and the neckline is tighter than on the Ultimate. So that's the winter wear. How about for hot weather like we've got here? Very common in the Algarve in the summer months. First of all, the Coldskin, which, as you can see on the box, is designed to cool you down in temperatures of between about 28 to 40 degrees C. Its magic lies in how it absorbs and disperses body heat while wicking sweat almost instantly. And magic isn't hyperbole here, there's witchcraft going on. When you pick it up, it feels genuinely cool to the touch. And when you first put it on, it feels almost as if it's come out of the fridge. It's quite an odd but pleasant sensation in hot weather. When riding, when sweat does hit, you get an enhanced cooling sensation through evaporation. It's extremely lightweight and close-fitting, and although V-necks maybe don't suit everyone, they are comfortable and do have the advantage of not rucking up under your jacket collar. It's UPF or ultraviolet protection 50+ rated, which means it blocks 98% of UV light, and it has antibacterial properties that resist odour buildup even on long rides. It dries quickly too, within I'd say 10 to 15 minutes in the sunshine, making it ideal for touring in hot climates. The Coldskin doesn't just wick sweat like athletic shirts I've tried in the past, it actively makes me feel cooler as I ride. It really does work. So the pros and cons: it feels cool to the touch, it wicks and dries quickly in 30 degrees C+, it's UPF 50+ and antibacterial, and very lightweight. Cons, well, the V-neck, as I said, isn't for everyone. It doesn't chill so much when you're stationary. It is relatively expensive, and the thin fabric does feel a bit delicate, although actually it isn't. And finally onto the IceWeave. Now this is a more advanced alternative to Coldskin, featuring special nylon cold threads with a flat cross section that increase surface contact with your skin, enhancing the cooling effect. It's designed for high output riders, they say. Think of summer track days, off-road riding, or heavy commuting in extreme heat. Like Coldskin, it offers UPF 50+ sun protection and polygene anti-odor treatment. The real difference is in its durability and sweat handling. It can absorb and disperse more sweat than Coldskin, and it's ultra stretchy, up to 500% apparently, meaning it fits like a second skin without restricting movement. I think if you frequently ride in 30 degrees C+ heat and tend to sweat a lot, IceWeave is probably the better choice. I don't sweat that much and so prefer the Coldskin, but this IceWeave feels dry minutes after a heavy sweat and maintains a consistently cool feel. Plus points, well, maximum cooling under high sweat, it absorbs and disperses more moisture, it's very stretchy, and it's treated for UV and odour. Cons, well, it's not dramatically cold, just consistently cool. The compression fit won't suit everyone, it's expensive versus simpler options, and strangely there are only 3 sizes available. Now, while we're on the subject of sizing, I have read a couple of user reviews on ZeroFit's own website where people complain the shirts are too tight. Now, of course, fit is a very personal thing, but I'm usually L for lighter summer garments like t-shirts and shorts, and XL for heavier winter items like textile adventure jackets, for example. Now, all 4 of my ZeroFit base layers, so that's 2 summer and 2 winter, are XL, and while I find the winter shirts spot on, the 2 summer shirts are quite body hugging. I wouldn't call them tight, but they are on the slim side, so if you are in doubt or think you could be between 2 sizes, I would recommend going for the larger size. What about washing and care? Well, ZeroFit says their garments are machine washable at 30 to 40 degrees C, but they should be air dried and turned inside out to preserve the inner texture, and fabric softeners and tumble dryers should be avoided. With proper care, they hold up very well. Some users I've seen report minor pilling after several washes, especially on high friction areas, but I can't say I've had any problems so far after 2 full winters and summers. There's no shrinkage, no bobbling, stretching, fading of the black or yellowing of the white shirts. Just follow the washing instructions and you should be fine. How about pricing and alternatives? Well, ZeroFit based layers do offer very effective cooling and warming, but that does come at a price, typically 50 to 80 euros per shirt, and their CEO has told me that they never ever discount. By comparison, Decathlon's Van Rysel thermals can be had for about half that. However, what sets ZeroFit apart, in my opinion, is their active functionality, the way they generate heat in winter and absorb it in the summer. Decathlon's products are better than regular t-shirts and are competitively priced, but I've never found one that can match ZeroFit. This Kalenji t-shirt from Decathlon, for example, is excellent value at around 25 euros and great in moderately warm weather, say 24-25 degrees C, 75 Fahrenheit. But in the summer, I regularly ride in temperatures above 30 degrees C or 85 degrees Fahrenheit, and it just doesn't work as well as ZeroFit in terms of outright cooling performance. It would be really nice if it did because it's cheaper, but in my experience, it just doesn't. Like most things in life, I suppose, you pays your money and you makes your choice. So some final thoughts. Well, if you regularly ride in very hot or very cold conditions and want to stay comfortable, ZeroFit's base layers deliver genuine performance improvements and are the best I've come across. Simple as that. A bit like with Roadskin jeans, which I also wear on every ride. When I've found the sweet spot, I will stick with it. I only make videos about products that I actually use myself regularly. It was me who originally reached out to ZeroFit and Roadskin for that matter, not the other way around, because I bought one of their products and genuinely liked it. Anyway, if you are interested, the code in the description will get you this rather nice and extremely cozy Heatrub neck warmer worth €30, free with your order. To sum up, ZeroFit base layers are not just warm or breathable, they actively manage heat and moisture in a way that enhances riding comfort and safety. It isn't just hype, it really works. And while the cost is higher than, say, what you'd find in a sports outlet, in my opinion, having tried just about every brand, the performance, comfort and durability of ZeroFit does make them a worthwhile investment. Anyway, let me know in the comments of your experience with this type of premium base layer, either from ZeroFit or any other brand, and as always, thanks for watching.